Hi, welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm Tina Howard, and I have a really fun guest today. I'm excited to introduce you to her. Her name is Ganine Derleth, and she is relatively new to town. She and her husband Theo moved to town recently, and we're going to find out all about Ganine. Thanks for coming, Ganine.
Thank you so much for having me. We are just thrilled to be included in this.
Well, you know what? You are by far the most interesting person I have met recently. And so I'll tell you, Ganine and her husband came from the New York area down to Marathon Key and then to Hartwell. So I'm going to ask you some questions on how you started and where you came from and all that. So you were not originally from Hartwell, nor was Theo, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And you were born where?
Both of us were born in upstate New York, Rochester, right on Lake Ontario.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's different because that's very cold.
We followed each other through 3 states before we finally met, and we fell in love the night we met and got married immediately.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to
Been married 34 years.
Oh, were you in New York together when you were married, or were you single in New York and didn't know one another?
By the time I had moved to Manhattan, we were already married and had a child.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you met in Rochester?
No, we're both from Rochester, New York.
Okay. Tell me the 3-state story.
And then the next one was Los Angeles.
And you both lived there?
I was doing a Broadway show called A Chorus Line at the Wilshire Theater.
She's a Broadway star, y'all. I'm so starstruck. I can't even stand it. Okay.
And the funny thing is, my husband and I would go, we hadn't met each other yet, but we went to the same nightclubs after work to go dancing.
Okay.
And never met. So I keep thinking the angel's going, turn around, turn around. You missed him. So from Rochester, he lived not that many miles away, and he actually knew my brother, my cousins.
Oh, wow. So you
lived
were
in his neighborhood.
New York, and then you were both in LA.
In LA, and then we were in Las Vegas, and
then to Las Vegas.
All right, so my husband is a wonderful dancer and artist, and owned a huge ballroom dancing school in Las Vegas.
Okay.
That happened to be right next to a fabulous Italian restaurant. And one night I was out with my parents at the restaurant, and then I remember peeking in the window next door because they had these shears, but you could see through to the lights and the dancers, and peeking through to see what the dancers were doing. And then my daddy and I dancing right out there in the parking lot. He twirled me around. We were copying the steps. Who knew I was going to fall in love with the owner?
Oh my gosh, that's
we
a great
met at
story.
a nightclub.
Wow, finally. And so God's going, finally.
The minute I saw his eyes, I couldn't tell you what he looked like. I just saw his eyes, and I felt like somebody shook me, and I heard inside, wow, there you are.
Really?
And finally somebody came and said, hello, excuse me, and introduced the two of us. And come to find out, he owned the big dance school around the company, and I had just finished doing a Broadway show, and he said, will you have a dance with her? And Theo says, well, of course I will.
I can imagine. That was a good dance. Now, when I met people
very good dance
at clubs and I danced with them, not that I danced a lot, but when I did, it was so awkward and so, bumping elbows.
This was not awkward.
I can imagine you guys were.
This was pure magic.
Wow.
I literally fell into his arms, and I said, talk about falling in love on the first dance.
Aw. And did you fall in love right away?
We did.
That's so nice.
And we were married 3 months later.
3 months? You don't mess around.
You don't mess around. I knew he was a keeper.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm going to back you up a little bit. You're in Rochester, New York, and what kind of a school did you go to become a dancer? Because you can't be on Broadway unless you're super, super talented.
My mother had been a professional dancer.
Oh, wow.
She had owned her own schools.
Okay.
After she got married and had 5 children, I'm the only girl. I have 4 brothers. She was determined that I would be in dance classes from the time I was 3 years old.
And I bet your earliest memories are dancing. Wow. And your mom was a professional
godfather
Interesting.
married a dancer. And I was so in love with my godfather. He used to take me on a weekly date. We'd go out for lunch. And I remember him telling me, I've met this beautiful girl, Gigi, and I love her so much. And I don't know what to do. And he made it my idea. Well, you should marry her. Because I was so in love with him, he actually asked me what he should do about her.
So sweet.
And after they were married, I started taking dance lessons from her for many years. And she's been a huge influence in my life, in my career. So not only your mom,
but your godfather's wife were role models for you. Could you ever imagine doing anything else, though, with that kind of growing up? So, okay, take us to high school. Who were you in high school? Were you the very dedicated,
I was a cheerleader. I was in theater. I was in Future Business Leaders of America.
Okay.
when we did our...
So you were just a normal kid who was
Yeah.
actually a fabulous dancer.
Well, I've had good training. There were 5. My mom had 5 kids in 5 years, so I had lots of brothers and cousins
Wow.
all over. So people knew the Giorgione boys, and
Yes, no shortage of dance partners, hopefully.
I did not date in high school. Needless to say, the boys would walk down the hall and walk on the other side when they came near me, and I always thought there was something wrong with me.
Oh,
I found out years later. I told one man I ran into. I said, I had a crush on you in high school. He goes, "Oh, your brothers would have killed anybody looked at you."
that explains it. So you became interested in dance as a career after high school, I guess, or were you
All through.
dancing?
No, I was at the studio so much that I became a class leader.
Okay.
And then I moved up to an assistant teacher.
Wow,
And-
you're just a teenager doing
right.
this.
Now, by the time I was 13, I had made the conscious decision to go professional.
Okay.
That I was going to do this for a living.
Okay.
And my teacher, was not only brilliant at teaching, but at grooming young girls for careers. Of my senior class, we all either owned our own schools or danced on Broadways, or both.
Wow.
By 15, I was teaching at one of her schools for her. By 16, my family had moved out to Las Vegas, Nevada. And I went into the local ballet company, and I was taking classes there, and I was at the college for UNLV. I was one of the founding members of their contemporary dance theater.
What took you from Broadway to Los Angeles? A chorus line?
Yes.
Okay. We know her. We have probably watched her in plays before, and we just didn't know it. So I'm sure that in my couple of trips to New York that I've walked right past you on the sidewalk. I know I
We
did.
could very well have.
But so you were in a chorus line, and you started as a backup dance, not a backup dancer.
No,
What do you
actually,
call
I
it?
was right on the line. I was a principal.
On the
My
line.
very
See,
first
I don't know
show.
my terms.
So I got my first job in Vegas when I was 18. I was the youngest, shortest dancer on
you
the Las
move
Vegas
to
Strip.
Vegas in
When we
high
were
school?
living, my family moved to Vegas
Okay.
when I was 16. But by the
Okay.
time I turned 18, I got a contract at the Grand, which was funny because it was a tribute to all the movie musicals I fell in love with dancing and grew up watching.
Oh, cool.
The show was called Hallelujah Hollywood.
Okay.
And in my here I am, 18 years old, in my first Las Vegas show, and I'm dressed like a little kid behind the Judy Garland character going clang, clang, clang at the trolley.
That's great.
But it
So
was
that's
really
not
great.
what I thought you were
and I
gonna
went
say.
right from there to a leading role in a Broadway show, which was a chorus line.
In LA?
No, I was actually offered in New York on Broadway.
So you went back to New York to do...
Well, no, I actually didn't. They had offered me a leading role in the show on Broadway, and they wanted me to go join the company in December, Christmas time, but my oldest brother was getting married to one of my dear friends.
Oh.
And I said no because I was maid of honor and I wanted to be there for the ceremony.
Oh.
And they said, well, if you can't come the day before Christmas, you can't be in this Broadway show. And I said, well, then this is not the right show for me because family comes first.
A level head on your shoulders, even as a
And
teenager.
then after I turned it down and cried myself to sleep that night with my mom telling me, don't worry, honey, there's going to be other shows.
That's right.
They called back the next day and they said, all right, we'll take you the day after Christmas.
Yay.
I ended up going to I had turned down New York City. From what I had heard, I was a little bit afraid of living in Manhattan,
Okay.
which I didn't know.
Well, this was the 70s, so...
It's a different world.
It's different than now.
I didn't know until many years later when I actually lived in Manhattan that it is one of the nicest, safest places,
Sure.
and that it is a big town of lots of small communities where you know all your neighbors and it's completely safe. But instead I went to be in what they call the International Dance Company.
Okay.
But the International Company had toured abroad, but they had just come to America when I joined it.
Okay.
So I did all the major cities on the Broadway
So
tour.
you jumped in with them and you went on the road.
Right.
You were
Which was
18.
nice because we were major cities, all the major cities, and we stayed for a month at a time. So
Oh.
I could actually get to know a town.
Sure. Okay, so give me some of the cities. You were in, Chicago?
Yes, and Boston, and just
Boston.
the whole major Broadway circuit,
Wow.
mostly on the East Coast.
That's nice. And
But
you
it was a
spent
nice
less than
way as a
each-
young teenager to be able to see America.
What
and see
was
how
it
beautiful.
like to dance in a Broadway show? You hear
Oh,
things
thrilling!
about-
Thrilling! It's thrilling. There's nothing
You
better.
live it, right?
There is nothing better on earth.
You don't have hobbies because you're living that
Well, you know, it's
living
funny.
to
There were
dance.
hobbies in the show because many of us, I was an artist back then. I had my
Okay.
sketchbook,
Okay.
but there were a lot of photographers. It was more sedentary hobbies because our job was so physically
Well,
athletic
that makes sense.
that our
makes
hobbies
sense.
were more,
Yeah.
I would sit there and, I liked drawing. So in the different towns we would go to, I liked to draw church windows. I thought they were beautiful, the
Oh,
plants in
wow.
front, because I like architecture.
Okay, we're going to get to the art in a minute because
But I did. I had my sketchbook on tour with me with the shows.
that's really cool. So give me an idea of what the day was like. They'd wake you up early.
No, not at all.
No?
It was the best job ever.
Oh.
The show is 2 hours long, so really you work 2 hours at night. You have to get there half an hour early to warm up and put your makeup on.
And what'd you do the rest of the
So
day?
my job, well, we get to go explore the different towns. Take
Wow.
dance classes in every town we met. Take some
Yeah.
singing lessons. Go to the museums. Walk the parks. And so I fell in love with Boston. I absolutely loved it there. And I would get my little V8 and my banana and my sandwich, and I've got my big picture hat and my novel, and I'd walk down to the garden by the swan boats.
Yes.
And I'd sit there and read my novel during the day, and then close it up and go take a ballet class in the afternoon.
That
And go
sounds
have dinner
ideal.
and then go to work. And it was the best job because I was paid to hang out with really cool, interesting, intelligent people
Oh, I bet.
and put makeup on and wear pretty costumes and
Who doesn't want to do that at 18?
work out. And we were getting paid to break a sweat and have a great time dancing
Wow.
on stage with our friends. And then people line up afterwards to go, "Oh, you were wonderful. Can I have your autograph?" And I was like, "Sure."
And you're 18. How does that not go to your head at 18?
It was
You're
wonderful.
beautiful, you're young, you're on stage, people adore you.
It was so much fun.
I bet.
It was
I bet.
it
That's
was also
wonderful.
a very good way to see how amazing America is
Yeah?
and see our beautiful country.
Wow. You've seen more of the country than I have, I know. I haven't seen that many places.
I like to
So,
travel.
That's
I'm a very good tourist.
You are a good tourist. Okay, I hope I get to travel with you sometime because you'll know exactly what to do and I won't. Okay, so you're dancing, you're a teenager, late teens, after high school, and then what happens? Take me a little forward. You're in your early 20s now.
I was 23 when I fell in love and got married.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so 18 to 23, you're dancing, you're on an international tour.
And
you're
actually,
doing
I did 3
shows.
different roles in the show.
Okay.
I was originally hired to be the character Judy. And if
Okay.
you've ever seen the Broadway show Chorus Line, it's a lineup of dancers. It's an audition piece.
Uh-huh.
Judy is one of the 4 dancers that actually gets the job at the end. So she's front and center for all the dance numbers.
Okay.
And I love that. I like I
course.
don't care who's on stage. I like to be front and center. So
Of
that was
course.
fine for me. But after a while of doing the show, I thought, okay, that was fun. Now what? And I gave my notice. And they're like,
Oh.
honey, you don't just
You don't do
quit
that.
a leading
Right.
role in a Broadway show.
Right.
And I was like, oh, really? What do I do? They go, oh, no, well, you just change roles. So everybody in the company was required to understudy another role.
Okay.
So I had understudied the girl doing Christine, and she was understudying me. So we just traded
you
roles. So my
swapped
second
roles.
character was the girl Christine, who's married and holds hands through the whole show.
Right. Well, there you go. You never got bored, right?
I said, so, yeah.
And so then you're in with the Chorus Line in LA, meeting your husband.
Wait, no, I had finished that. We'd actually moved on. I had already done 42nd Street after that as well.
Oh.
So I not only played Judy, then Christine, and then I played Cassie, which is the leading lady in Chorus Line.
Okay.
I had left.
Cassie and Chorus Line. I'm going to write that down because I need to kind of go back and study a Chorus Line.
It was really fun.
character.
It's a great show, and I was thrilled to be part of the Chorus Line world. And we're still all very connected through Facebook. We have our own
good.
Facebook group.
How nice.
Where we
And
talk
they're
to each
probably
other.
spread out through the country, right?
More than the country, around the world.
Around the world. Wow. And then 42nd Street.
I did 42nd Street, and then after 42nd Street, I had gone back to Vegas, and that's when I met my husband. I wasn't out of work a week,
Okay.
and so
Wow.
I fell in love with the ballroom dancer, so I went right into the ballroom dancing world.
So did you call your mom and dad when you got home? Hey, I met this guy.
I was living with them. I was not that old, and I was home
you
in
were
between
still at
shows.
home,
I
yeah.
was,
Because-
I wasn't out of work that long. I was only out of work a
You
week.
were just back home regrouping to go again.
And then I met
when you
him, and
him.
we fell in love, and everybody
you
around
came-
us knew it.
Did you wake them up when you got home? Hey, I met this guy.
I must have. I don't even
sure
remember
you
that night.
did.
I just remember him.
And do you remember the first time your parents met him?
Oh, right away.
Right away.
We fell in love right away. There was no hiding anything. It
Wow.
was like, this was amazing. He's a keeper.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool.
He
Are
says
your
he
friends-
chased me till, he says, I chased her till she caught me.
That's funny. That is funny. So 3 months later, you're married. What a whirlwind.
Oh, it was amazing.
If somebody lost touch with you for a few weeks.
Oh, so I have to tell you, I got hired to do America's first Olympic dance corps, to do the opening ceremonies for the '84 Olympics.
Oh, wow.
In California. So I had to go, and we were brand new newlyweds, and I had been hired to go to California to do the Olympics. And I remember I had to live in Olympic Village. I mean, no husbands, no boyfriends.
Right.
And I remember calling him on the phone going, I love you so much. I miss you so much. I don't know why I'm here.
Oh, that's
But he was allowed to come up on the weekends and visit.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Because he's running a business himself. So
and teaching. He's a phenomenal dancer, and he had a huge school in Las Vegas called Dance Institute. And he had 24 full-time teachers there.
That's huge.
Oh, it was huge. And we had live dances and open to the public 2 different days a week.
Wow.
It was pretty great. So he introduced me to the world of ballroom dancing, even though my parents had been dancers and I grew up dancing. I mean, I was doing cha-chas with my dad at weddings when I was 5 years old.
Oh, how cute.
And now Tony and his daughter are going to dance for us.
Oh, that's great.
And now it turned to Theo and Janine are going to dance for us.
Right. You can't get away from that now. And was your dad also a dancer?
Yeah.
Not professionally, though.
No, but my mom was.
Yeah, and so your mom probably...
And my mom and dad were dancers, and that was their generation. They grew up dancing like that. So we had dance lessons growing up. After dinner, mom and dad would push the kitchen table to the side, and then they would dance for us. And then I would dance with my daddy, and my brothers would take turns dancing with mom, and we'd have our lesson, and then I'd practice with my brothers.
How nice. And they didn't kick you in the shins?
So I have to tell you, the night I met my husband, I was actually in a nightclub as a fake date for my brother who sold cars. He said, come on, be my fake date. We'll go to the club. I'll sit at the bar. I'll hand out a few business cards. And then he'd say, oh, there's a pretty girl over there. Come on, Gigi, dance with me and make me look good. And we'd dance together, and I'd have to tell her, really, it's okay. He's my brother. Go ahead.
That's so funny.
That ended up being the club that I met my husband at.
Wow. And you were trying to help your brother.
Yeah.
You met your husband. So you're at the Olympics now. And that must have been quite an experience.
It was wonderful. We're in it. We love it. We're all dancing for the first Olympic dance corps.
Nice. And then after that must have, how do you ride these waves? Because you go from, you're at home, you're thinking, what am I going to do today? And then you're at the Olympics. That's big.
You enjoy life. You just take every moment as it comes.
Yeah.
Right now, this is a magical moment.
This is good.
Your blue eyes sparkle. We're going to be great friends after this. I know
this
it.
Is so exciting.
And you just enjoy each moment as things come. You do what you love. I do what I love. I like singing and dancing and acting and drawing.
We always tell our children, do something that you can have a passion for.
Yeah.
And you lived it. And
then you watch things come to you.
Yeah.
They just come into your world.
That's great. So you're married now. You're back from the Olympics.
Oh, we had so much fun dancing together and running the studio and doing big team matches. There was one show where my mom sewed. My mom is a seamstress as well, and she did costumes professionally in Las Vegas. And the ball gowns are huge, huge skirts with many layers of silk chiffon that she's, doing edges on them. We did this one formation number where all of the gowns were a different color. All pastel colors, yellow and green and pink and blue. It was stunning, and all these dresses twirling. Oh, the colors are just as spectacular in ballroom dancing as you could imagine.
Wow.
So as much fun as the dancing is, and the music, and the fact that it's very intoxicating. You're not only holding another person in your arms, and breathing together, and moving together, and trying to tune in and second guess, what is he going to do next? Which way is he going to take me? But you're moving around the room with music. There's other people in the way, and you're twirling both ways, and you don't know what's coming next.
I never thought about that.
You're going around the room and changing directions and twirling both directions to music with another person. It's really intoxicating.
So you're having to
anticipate. It's the most fun.
Turns, you're having to know that you're in step with your partner.
Constant rapid fire, split-second decisions.
Wow.
Where am I in space? What am I doing? Which way is he going? Did he lower? Will he go this way? Will he go that way? Oh, he's breathing. And my job, the lady doesn't dance at the exact moment the man does. Ballroom dancing is the man's sport. He is the leader. He's the driver.
Okay.
Her job is to climb on. Foxtrot.
Is to follow.
Think of a slow foxtrot. Body contact, foxtrot is fun.
Right.
Foxtrot has friction. Find a friend and climb on. It's a lot of fun. And you're dancing together and moving around the room. If that doesn't get you high and in love, I don't know what will.
Exactly. No wonder you fell in love with your husband on the first dance. So when you're dancing and your hands are clasped, is there a signal that the man gives you when you're dancing? Like, does he press or turn your hand?
Actually, there's a consistency. It's what we call tone.
Okay.
So if you were to put both of your elbows up at the same height and think of slightly squeezing in, you're pushing your shoulders down and you're slightly squeezed in. So if somebody were to push on your arm, it wouldn't just go down.
Okay.
Your arm is there.
Up.
It's solid. So if I were to touch you here, the whole body, no, don't let the arm go. Everything's solid. So the whole arm, no, we teach that. But then the whole body would move as a unit.
Your whole body moves?
So between my frame, my dance frame here, and his dance frame, he's got a hand under here and he's holding my arm and this arm becomes one with his. We become one solid unit between the two of us. So we move in harmony.
Maybe that's why I'm such a terrible dancer.
But if nobody's ever showed you, how are you supposed to know? Osmosis? That's like, throwing a book at a little kid and going, read it, and you haven't taught him the alphabet. They would be scared.
You're making me feel better. Maybe I do have a chance.
You would not just throw the keys to your really nice car at a teenager and say, go ahead, you practice and learn in my car. You would actually sit in the car and show them. This is a blinker. You look before you change lanes and give you the basis of driving and practice with you for a few hours before they would allow you to take the car out on your own.
Okay.
It's the same thing with a partnering skill.
Okay.
There's only two people. There's only one driver. There's only one signal for please turn right. There's only one signal for please turn left. There's only one signal for please may I have your hand.
So that whole that's a language. That whole dance is a language.
And the beginning ballroom, what we teach is we teach people how to understand what each other wants. Basic skills.
Okay.
Stay close, look at each other's eyes, keep your arms on each other.
Okay.
Breathe together, wait for the signal, and react. Whatever he does is right.
Okay.
Copy whatever he does.
Okay.
So the lady learns to be a delayed reaction. And that's when it's fun. That's when the two bodies start moving in harmony.
Okay. And are you able to anticipate anything, or do you just follow?
No, that's a big no-no.
You can't anticipate because
you have to be the Zen master. You have to wait for him to do it. And
Gosh, that's why it's so hard. I'm such a control freak because I think we're going to go that way. Oh no.
Powerful women have a little bit of a challenge on the very first section. It's like breathe, climb on your man, wait for him. Whatever he does is right. And the guys are like, yeah, baby, I like this.
I'm sure they do.
And then they twirl you. Well, then when he finally does take over and give her a good twirl and a dip, the wives will giggle. They will kiss him. They will be so happy. It's like you talk about marital therapy. Absolutely. I had many people say that. When you go in for a dance lesson, you will leave feeling better than when you got there.
Isn't that great?
You will be brighter and lighter. You will have a smile.
That will be fun. Okay, we're building up to why you're here and how you're here. So you're in Las Vegas with your husband, and
we have big school, and then we eventually got pregnant and had a son.
Okay.
Our son's name is also Theo, like my husband. Okay. My husband is actually Theodore James, but he goes by Theo. But my son is Theo Alexander.
Nice. And
who is now 30 years old.
Okay.
And moving to Hartwell, hopefully by the end of October. Ooh. And he's going to be working at a new mortgage brokerage house that's opening up here called Tews Mortgage.
Nice. Okay, good. All right.
And also, my son is quite an artist himself. A singer and a performer, and he's a blacksmith. He's a trained blacksmith and jewelry maker.
Wow.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
So how did you get from Las Vegas? You didn't come from Las Vegas to Hartwell. You went to Marathon
to New York City.
Oh, back
we went to New York City because by then I was in my 30s, and I really wanted to get back into shows.
Okay.
I wanted to do another Broadway show while I was still young enough looking to, back then, I was still young enough looking to fit in with the chorus.
Sure.
And Tommy Tune came to Las Vegas. Actually, Cats came. I auditioned for Cats. I was offered the second lead in the Broadway show Cats.
Okay.
The character is Bomb Ballerina. She's the one that sings McCavity.
Yeah.
And I was offered the role on Broadway. And so we were going to move to New York so I could do Cats. And then after I had accepted it, then they said, the girl doing the part has decided not to leave, but to just go on an extended vacation, after an extended honeymoon after her wedding and come back. So we still want you, but will you go do the tour? I said, I can't tour. My kid's 1.5 years.
Yeah,
I need to be, plant me in LA, plant me in New York, plant me in Las Vegas, but I don't want to tour with a young person.
Yes.
Kids need, they need stability. They need a routine of some kind. And so we actually tried to help them back then get a contract with one of the casinos. It ended up not working out at the time, and I said, no, thank you. And I was kind of sad because I thought, wow,
Yeah.
that was my chance to go back to
was my
Broadway.
chance, but
and
you
then,
chose for your child.
but then Tommy Tune came to Vegas looking for girls for the original company of the Will Rogers Follies on Broadway.
Okay.
And he hired me in Las Vegas, paid for me to move to New York, and I was part of the original company and did the show there for many years.
That's a good show. That's a fun show.
Oh, he loved it.
Neat. Okay, so now you're back in New York and you're doing shows with a baby at home.
Yeah, and you know,
And
it's
a
funny, I used to
husband?
say I would never raise a kid in New York City, but people that have not been to New York City don't understand how lovely and warm the little neighborhoods are and how you know
Sure.
all your neighbors.
Okay.
I knew everybody in my building. I knew everybody walking from my house down to the dance studio because our studio was between 77th and 78th on Broadway upstairs, and we had 15 full-time teachers there.
Wow.
It was the largest Fred Astaire studio in the country. It was the #1 Fred Astaire school in the chain at that time,
Fantastic.
after my husband took it over.
Yeah.
Actually, he's the one that trained me in the ballroom world.
Okay.
So we could walk to work. Actually, he would rollerblade to work and teach there. And then I would do my show at night. We would go down because the
It's a
palace.
stable life.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we would get up in the morning and actually even as our son Theo got older and take him to school and then go home and get coffee and grab the newspapers and a blanket and we'd walk a block to Central Park and we had a big favorite rock in a grassy area and we'd lay out the blanket and enjoy the sun and have our morning coffee and read the paper. And then we'd go back home and shower up and get dressed and then we'd go to the dance studio and the two of us would practice for a couple of hours. And then he would get cleaned up and changed, so he would give his business meeting and teach, because the ballroom world, we start more in the afternoon. It goes from the
Okay.
afternoon to the evening,
Okay.
because many people come for lessons after work.
Sure.
So he would stay there and then get dressed for work, and I would go home, go pick up our son at school, take him, go and play in the park, do homework, have dinner, get
All
him
the normal
ready for bed,
things.
and then the nanny would come for a little bit in between there, so that I could get to the theater early enough to get warmed up while my husband was coming home from work.
Yeah. It worked.
Yeah, so he always had one of us around, and then for a little while there, we had someone to assist with that extra half hour.
The
in
extra
between.
half hour that you need, right. And your folks are still in Las
My
Vegas at
family
the
was in
point?
Las Vegas, but
Okay.
but pretty much my whole life, especially young and being on tour, every vacation I ever took was not to see the world, was to go home to be with family, just for
course.
that,
Of course.
you know, grounding and stability, and to
Yes.
see your mom.
Absolutely.
So after we moved to New York, my parents would come visit us there, and we would go there. So every year.
Nice. That's great.
And then a couple of times after that, I thought, you know, when my son was older, I was like, Mom, every vacation I've gone to Vegas, I really want to see something else. Why don't we meet in Mexico? So
Perfect.
we did. We did a trip,
Yeah.
and my parents went and met us in Mexico, and then another trip they met us in Hawaii.
That's nice.
So I would vacation, but my parents were our favorite people to vacation with because
Oh.
they're so much fun.
Oh.
And they're tourists like we are. They'll go, you know, we'll go exploring and try new restaurants and go see shows. My parents are a blast.
That's awesome. And so you're in New York, you have this big Fred Astaire studio, you're dancing at night and
Yeah.
singing, and young Theo's in school. And then what drew you to Marathon Key?
Well, I retired. When I retired from Broadway,
Okay.
I thought,
What
well,
makes
you know,
one retire from Broadway? The joints?
no, you just get to a point where you say that was really wonderful, and now it's time for the next generation to have their turn.
Okay. Wow.
You know,
Was that sad?
no, it was
You had been fulfilled.
it was freeing. I was completely fulfilled.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful and pleased for the
Yeah.
opportunities, and it was great. It was just time for the next phase of my life.
Sure.
And we'd been to, so I have to tell you, in the wintertime in New York, and it gets very cold.
I'm sure.
And in February, it gets a little bit of light deprivation, which would affect me.
Okay.
And I remember laying in bed under the quilt with my husband on a cold morning, and we're watching this fishing show from the Florida Keys, where the water is turquoise and the sun is shining, and I'm under my quilt going, I don't like the cold, I don't like the cold, I don't like the
Aw.
cold. Well, my husband is a speaker and a national trainer for many organizations, and one of them was the Fred Astaire. We've trained many, many teachers. And so he was speaking at a seminar in South Florida. And he said, why don't we plan an extra few days and we'll go down and explore the Keys.
Yay.
We saw the Florida Keys and we decided to move.
Really?
And so we went back home, and he had an offer from somebody that he had already trained who was ready to step up into management. And she bought the studio.
Nice.
We stayed an extra 6 months to make sure everybody's training was correct and they had what they needed from us to continue on. Actually, it's still my husband's voice on the answering machine all these years later. And we moved to the Florida Keys.
And how old was young Theo?
He he was just going into high school, so he was not so pleased with us moving him at that time. Was not maybe the most pleasant conversations. I said, honey, it's a perfect time to move. You're before a new school. You're before a new...
Right.
He was not pleased.
But
once he was down there, he fell in love with it.
Oh, sure.
We had gone back to Vegas for Christmas one year, and it was freezing. And he looked at me and he goes, you've ruined me. I can't handle the cold anymore. You've ruined me.
Yeah. So, but socially, culturally, it was very different.
Well...
Or not
really. You are who you are no matter where you are.
Okay.
And you still have your home and your job and your meals and your chores and your shopping and your hobbies, and you make new friends.
And he was an artist, and he was singing and...
Yes. And
blacksmithing at that point?
He did. That was more because of a woman he was dating. He was dating this tall, lovely redhead who was into performing with a pirate troupe. So he started doing pirating, and they would do choreographed sword fights for the tourists. And my son is actually like Indiana Jones with a whip.
Wow.
He's pretty amazing with that. And then he started singing in the clubs, and they actually have a CD of some of their pirate songs out.
Okay. Nice.
And then she was working at the forge. Okay. And then after they broke up, he continued the forge because he really liked it. And he became the head blacksmith. I don't know what
the forge is.
The forge is where people would go do blacksmithing. They make the fire, they take the iron, and they hammer the iron and pound it.
Yeah. So that's an ancient art, and he was drawn to that.
And this is historically correct. So he is the head blacksmith for Fort Zachary Taylor in Key West for over 8 years. Wow. And he trains other blacksmiths.
Wow.
And he likes it so much. And actually, when he moves here to Hartwell, he's going to be opening his own forge and teaching blacksmithing.
Wow. Okay, that is the coolest thing. Okay, so now I've got to ask you the question that I know everybody that's watching wants to know this.
Which is?
How'd you get to Hartwell? Did you look on a map or know people? Or?
Actually, there's a whole story there. We've been in the Florida Keys for 15 years, and it was time for a change.
Okay. And well, tell me a little bit about the Keys before we come to Hartwell, because before the show you were telling me some really...
I know, we had a really good conversation. We should have put the camera on earlier.
I know.
That was really good.
It was. You lived... People think about the Keys, living in the Keys. You were in Marathon Key, which is kind of in the middle of the Keys, you said. And what we don't think about if we don't live there is these hurricanes that we just see on the news. You lived through that.
Yeah.
And
however, the majority of the year, the Florida Keys are spectacular beauty. You talk about God's most perfect beauty on earth, and the Florida Keys are right up there. The water is crystal clear. The sand is white. Because of the continental shelf, there's not waves. It's gentle lapping of the water on the shore.
Interesting.
It's just the air is gentle and moist on your skin, but there's always a trade wind.
Okay. So there's always a little breeze.
It's a beautiful place to live. And again, like in New York City, I said the communities, you know your neighbors, you know everybody. In the Florida Keys, they're little islands connected by bridges. So it's referred to as the Overseas Highway.
Okay.
The Overseas Highway is the only way in and out of the Keys. It's one long road that is actually a series of bridges connecting 100 miles of islands.
Okay.
And it's just the most lovely place to be. And people are very territorial over their island. It's like their neighborhood in New York. You know?
Sure.
And we knew everybody, and it was
And you were very involved.
Very involved.
You and your husband were both very involved in the community.
And always. We were very active with our Rotary in New York City before we moved down to the Keys. So we immediately went into our Rotary Club. We moved there, I think, January 3rd. We followed a big blizzard out. We got there just in time. And by January 6th, we went to our first Rotary meeting, and I walked in and I went, "Hi, you guys, you're our new family. We don't know anybody here, so you're it."
But Rotary's great for that.
Oh, they embraced us with open arms, and they're like, "Oh, welcome to our family. Welcome to our island."
How wonderful.
It was. It really, really was. Rotary has played a huge part in our lives. And actually, my husband had a Rotary scholarship when he was younger.
Wow.
And we've always tried to give back to Rotary, and we're very active in the club for many years. And actually, our son won an award as the most active child helping out the Rotary Club.
Oh.
And I was secretary for our club in the Keys, and actually ran the big band dance and fundraiser. And then the following year, my husband took over as president of the club.
Wow.
And already we've gone to Rotary meetings here in Hartwell.
Good. And
you see my pen?
I do see your pen. That's great. You were also involved in the Chamber of Commerce there.
Yes. And my husband Theo helped start the red carpet program to help bring new businesses to the Florida
Oh,
Keys.
super.
Trying
Wonderful.
Right. So very, very involved in it. And we're actually very involved with the chamber here, and I'm already a chamber ambassador. And I've been to lots of meetings. And
Thank you.
It's a great way to not only know what's going on in your community,
Yes.
but to make friends and to
Yes.
network.
Yes. To get
It's
to know
wonderful. I really, really love it. And Christine's been amazing.
Good, and she's great. I'm so glad
Yeah,
that
I
you
love
found
her.
the chamber and the Rotary Club here. When the hurricanes hit, you said first was Wilma.
Wilma, well, when you're in the Keys, the majority of your lifetime there is spectacular.
Yes.
When a big storm hits, do you ever try to throw a dart at a dartboard and hit the absolute center? It's not the easiest thing
It's
to
not
do.
easy.
The Florida Keys are a tiny little polka dot of an island. We don't even show on most maps. So the hurricanes usually miss us. Actually, Tampa gets 3 to every
Sure.
hurricane that the Keys get. It was just unfortunate that the year we bought a house that was on the ocean with a lovely seawall, that was the year there were 4 forced government evacuations. Our businesses were closed, and that was the year after Katrina, and that was when Wilma hit, and that devastated the Keys and devastated us. So when Irma hit, it was a year ago last week, and our town was ground zero. We were actually the news helicopters that would fly over were allowed to fly over up to our island, but not our island, because our airport is where the military stage their headquarters.
You were
for ground zero.
literally the very center of Hurricane Irma.
Yeah, and it's been a year later, and the Keys are phenomenal and will recover so quickly. However, there's still devastating loss over there that's rebuilding.
You said something that really floored me. You said some of the houses were washed away, blown away, and they're still
just
missing.
not there. You drive down the road and there's an empty spot where there used to be a house.
And the house is
There was
missing.
a house that was 3 stories. It's now 1 story. It's just sunk down, and there's another one that's gone, and the town was really devastated. However, everything in the Keys grows like weeds. You could plant anything, and in 2 years it'll look like it's been there for 10. Because it's just such a perfect place to grow
the resilience of the Keys.
people that live there
But it would
love
be really tough knowing the insurance companies and their restrictions and it would be really
FEMA
tough.
had their hands full with
Yeah.
this. This was a big deal.
I'm sure, because your yard might grow back within a couple of years, but do you really rebuild every time it gets knocked down? And
It's not usually that bad there. This was a fluke. The earth had major changes
but you're
coming.
safe. Your family is safe.
Yeah, and everybody was safe. And
So
you
that's
rebuild
a
and you
blessing.
clean. So it was time. We had actually decided to move to Hartwell before Hurricane Irma.
You did.
We were ready for a change. We had been down in the Keys for 15 years and we were absolutely ready for a change.
Okay.
And I started looking at the map of America. Well, I have to tell you a story. We're both from upstate New York. And my husband grew up in a very rural area on a dairy farm with 120 milker cows before they moved to the Lake Ontario house. We had gone home and realized just how much we were ready for a change, that we wanted the kind of life like our family has there in Rochester, but we didn't want to deal with snow because Rochester's buried in snow
Tough
more than
weather.
6 months a year.
Yeah.
So we looked at a map and we thought, well, how far north can we go before we hit snow? And went northeast Georgia, 3 inches a year. That'll do. And then I started, because we had such
snow line.
devastation with flood, I looked at military flood maps and thought, if anything happened and there were big floods, where are you not going to be flooded out? Because that was a big deal in my life, surviving those major hurricanes.
That changed you.
That changed where I started looking. So now we already knew northeast Georgia, and then we started looking at that. And then I started looking at, in Florida, there's so many sinkholes. Houses are falling into the ground because the porous under the houses and the houses are sinking. So I wanted different substructure under the ground. So I looked into that. I wanted a small town where I would know my neighbors and have a lot of friends. And we do a lot of business and trade. I just wanted a smaller community, more like a Hallmark town, because I watch every Christmas Hallmark movie.
Yes, me too.
And so then I went into citydata.com and started looking for towns with under 5,000 people. And
Are y'all listening to this, Chamber of Commerce?
I did some planning.
This is amazing that you found Hartwell by purposefully going through all of these steps.
The more I looked, the more
snow,
beautiful
the
Hartwell
elevations.
appeared.
Wow.
And then you start looking at the names. How could you not fall in love with the name Hartwell? And that was a big deal for me. I really liked the name. And then you start looking, well, and it was more than that. You start looking into retirement years. My husband's 62. You know, we're looking at what are the taxes.
Sure.
What is it if we go to the other side of Lake Hartwell or if we stay on the Georgia side of Lake Hartwell?
Yes.
And then I thought I wanted to be within, see, living in the Keys, we were within an hour of Key West. And within 2 hours of Miami.
Okay.
So
I
knew
this is just like that here.
I wanted to be in a rural area where we could afford to have more space and retire, where the taxes weren't too insane.
Yes.
My husband wanted lakefront living, but I needed to be within an hour of a city.
Yes.
So then I'm thinking, 2 hours, what is it, an hour and a half, 2 hours to Atlanta from here?
Hour to Greenville,
90 minutes to Atlanta.
Yes.
And then I thought, well, okay, where's Barnes & Noble, where's Costco, where's DSW? And then I Googled all of them and started doing the circle on the map. I mapped them out. And the more I refined it, the more Hartwell became the choice. And then I looked at names and I just liked it.
That's an awesome
I went to
story.
Realtor.com and I found this beautiful house that I fell in love with pillars and a front porch. And I thought, oh, stunning. And that price was unbelievable. So I went online and contacted the realtor, who was Bob Bedgood from Keller Williams.
Okay.
One of the nicest human beings I have ever talked to in my life, and the most phenomenal ambassador for Hartwell you could ever imagine.
That's nice.
We became instant friends on the phone. And he said, y'all need to just come on up and visit and check it out. And I'm going to show you. And at the time, I wasn't thinking waterfront, because I'd been in the tropics for 15 years.
Right.
I just wanted to be able to own a property big enough, and as long as I have a pool, I'm good to go.
Sure, yeah.
And Bob showed us the house, and it was an older house. It was over 100 years old and the floor needed redoing and the roof needed redoing. And my husband thought, maybe I don't want to do that much work, honey. And it was an acre, and we thought, okay, maybe we could do a little bit bigger. And Bob kept saying, yeah, honey, and you want to consider the lake. Bob Bedgood is not only the most phenomenal realtor, he's also the water ski instructor on Lake Hartwell. He has lakefront property. He knows everything about everything lakefront on Lake Hartwell.
Love it.
If you're going to buy lakefront property, he's the guy you need to know.
He's the one to know.
And every time I look at a property, he goes, it's really nice, but you want the lake. He says, all right, so now we're done looking at houses. Now you're going to come with me and we're going to go in my boat and we're going to go enjoy the lake. And I'm going to show you those houses from the waterfront so you can make a better decision.
Great idea.
Then I decided I needed lakefront.
Yes. Now, how long have you been here?
On and off. Well, we purchased the house. It was over a year ago.
Okay, so just a year?
Well, not even, because the house, there was someone still living in the house, and we wanted to give him extra time because he had personal things to deal with.
Okay.
So that put it back a while.
Okay.
And then we travel so much for work. My husband and I are ballroom coaches and judges, so we will travel. We were actually, next week I'm flying to Michigan for a week.
I didn't even know that was a business.
Yes. So right now, there's a lovely woman who has been taking lessons with us for over 8 years. She is current world champion.
World champion ballroom dancing.
And Latin.
And Latin dancing.
She's flying us up to her next week for an entire week, and we will train her. So my husband partners her. They dance in what's considered a pro-am division, a professional dancing with an amateur.
Right. Okay, so he's still dancing
with her, and then I coach the two of them.
And then you coach them. But you also are judges for...
So we just got back from South America. We were representing America as the judges for the South American Open.
Y'all, these people are famous, and they're here. This is so cool.
No, it's just a really cool job, and we love Hartwell.
And you go to South America.
We got to go to Buenos Aires, Argentina for a week. Wow. Oh, and you talk about great tango shows. We went out for dinner and dancing in the evenings and to go see the professional tango shows there.
Yeah.
And they were stunning.
Wow, I bet.
And of course, we went shopping.
For the eyes. You said something interesting earlier about ballroom dancing that I never thought about. It's visual with the colors as much as it is the movement.
Oh my gosh, the hair, the makeup, the jewelry. Where do you see the sparkly things? So I have to tell people when they come in for ballroom dancing, it may be addictive and it may lead to sparkly things. And it may lead to an extra dance bag full of pretty shoes.
Yes.
And costumes and traveling.
Wow.
Because there are dance vacations and dance weekends and dance competitions that maybe you just decide you want to start, and you and your husband, and you do a few dances, and you're in what we call a novice division where you've had less than 25 lessons and it's your very first event.
Oh, so
then you dance in the morning,
Okay.
and you're only dancing on the floor with other people who are your own age who have had the same amount of training.
Sure.
And you get the chance to be on the floor in a pretty dress and try it out, so you're comfortable. But as the day goes on, the dancers get more advanced.
Okay.
And then in the evening, there's dinner, and then you get to watch the professionals.
Oh, okay.
And then you have a chance to explore whatever town we're in.
Fantastic.
And the shopping is great. There's shoes and costumes and jewelry and sparkly things. It's really
girly
fun.
things. I like it.
It's fun.
So when you're not traveling to judge or dance ballroom competitions, what are you doing here in Hartwell? Besides going to Rotary and Chamber Ambassador. You have a full
All
plate.
kinds of things. I actually have to tell you, there was one more thing about the hurricane, is that they said this last hurricane, Florence, was coming right into the Carolinas.
Yes.
My
Oh,
husband
yeah.
was judging the North Carolina Classic Ballroom Championship, so
Oh,
he
he was
actually
right in the
drove
path?
into that. But he said the rain wasn't that bad, and many people from the coast had evacuated to Charlotte for the to be in that hotel. So the people going to the dance competition just went there a day or so early.
Oh, okay.
And said for the whole event, with all these thousands of dance events going around, there were only like 14 people missing from the whole event.
That's good.
Is that amazing?
Yeah, that's insane.
But yeah, he drove into the storm for it.
Wow, bless him.
Now, we have many things going on. We're calling...
You really do. It's just
I brought
so
you all my goodies. You like all my
incredible
goodies?
here. Yes, I do. So tell me first about Dancing Gardens. Look for Dancing Gardens on Facebook, right?
Yes, I'm on Facebook, and the website is Dancing Gardens Lake Hartwell.
DancingGardensLakeHartwell.com. Okay. So Dancing Gardens, what does that mean?
It's a fabulous name for a fabulous property. We have 9 acres of the most gorgeous, lush property right on the lake with a dock. And we love dancing, and we love gardening, and I'm an artist, and I'll be opening the art gallery and doing art classes, and we're going to be doing events there. So we thought Dancing Gardens was a great name for
That
it
is a
because
great name.
it's going to be a celebration destination. We are not only known for our dancing and our dancing lessons, we're actually turning the barn into the ballroom for dancing. In the meantime, the amazing Suzanne Krause, who owns Hot Shots Dance Company,
Yes.
has made an arrangement with us to teach out of her school at the time. And we're going to be offering a children's class and an adult class there as well. And then my husband and I also teach private, semi-private, and group lessons there
How wonderful.
out of Hot Shots until we can get ours done.
Until then, you're at Hot
In the meantime,
Shots
I'm there, so I have a
with
place to teach.
Suzanne.
We're in town and we're working.
Okay.
But our barn is going to be our ballroom.
Wow.
Now, the prior owner of the property, I believe at one time, was a hairdresser.
Okay.
So part of the garage was already expanded with its own, extra restroom and hot water heater because she was a hairdresser.
Sure.
She had to be able to wash her hair.
Right.
Well, we're turning that whole building into an art gallery and a painting studio.
Oh, wow.
Because not only do I do all my own painting and I need a place for the gallery, I do paint parties, social painting. I used to say paint and sit, but here I might say paint and shine because I've tried local shine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Paint and mead. Paint and
Paint and
which we
mead,
have-
paint and shine. Actually,
Right.
our very next painting party is probably going to be out at Blue Haven Bee Company with Brianna.
And Brianna and Andrew were on
gonna-
last week.
I know. So she's going to do a mass emailing out to her people.
Good.
So
Now
everybody
that will
knows
be
about
fun.
it. And you're coming because I gave you a gift
I
certificate
am
for your first
coming,
one.
for sure.
As a thank
so
you.
what do you need to do to come to a paint party? Do you have to be a good painter?
You
or-
need a sense of humor
Okay.
and an open mind.
Done and done.
Actually, I did one last week for a bridal shower here in Hartwell.
Oh, fun.
And they just decided that the bride likes elephants and we were going to do an elephant painting, so I created something for them. And until I'm set up, because the studio is not set up yet, so right now I go to them, but I also have a small trailer that I'm going to paint. It'll be my little paint wagon.
That'll
so
be
I can bring
nice.
out tables and chairs and easels and aprons and canvases and paints and set
Yeah.
up. And I
So you'll
provide
have all that?
everything.
You'll provide everything?
I have everything from pretty aprons to tablecloths, and then I will create an original painting if somebody wants, or I have many to choose from for the party.
Okay.
And then I guide them through it. I just gently guide them through and we laugh. And of course I sing and dance around. We usually play music. There's laughter, occasionally some silly humor.
Great. So these paint parties will be a fun thing.
It's just one more thing to add fun and one more thing to do. And I can not only go out to people and do them, but eventually I'll be set up so that people can come to Dancing Gardens and it's a full experience.
Tell me more about that, because you've got, you've got your ballroom dancing instruction, and you're developing the 9 acres. This is on Addis Road in the
Addis Point, yes.
Addis Point.
Very good.
In the Reed Creek community, and you'll be able to, someone would be able to come and stay on the property.
Eventually.
Right? Eventually?
Right now we are open as an event destination.
Okay, so for weddings, reunions?
Yeah, even celebration
reunions?
of life.
Oh,
so
okay.
we not only will be doing our own events on the property 4 times a year. We'll be having our own celebrations for dinner and dancing and art openings. So at each party there'll be there'll be a big dance party, there'll be refreshments, there'll be a dance demonstration, and I'll reveal the new paintings because we'll do them 4 times a year. But also we will be open for rentals and for events. We call ourselves a celebration destination.
I love
Dancing Gardens, the celebration destination. So if you want to get married on the property, it's spectacularly gorgeous, and there's so many places to get married on the property. Or if you want to have a party, we were even thinking that it would be fun to get a big screen and do outdoor movies in the spring.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun? And we have a place so people can come. They can take dance lessons. They can come for parties. They can come for events. They can come for, we do other arts and crafts classes out there. And eventually when we get the gardens going, I'd like to have some gardening classes and some flower making and some all kinds of fun things. So if you're looking for something to do, you want to go to Dancing Gardens because there's going to be something to do, and it's gorgeous.
Something there. So when you do the paint parties, and you're there to kind of coach people.
I talk them right through the whole thing. It's completely. You will be gently guided through the entire painting, and you will enjoy the process.
And the same with the dancing.
Yeah.
Some of us have 2 left feet. I'm not going to say who, but
dancing is a learned skill. And it doesn't take long. And if you can walk, you can partner dance.
Oh, I don't know.
And once somebody breaks it down and shows you everything we do, there's 4 basic elements. Walking steps, side steps, triples, and rocks. And most humans...
Triples and what?
Rocking steps.
Rocking steps.
And most people have done those at one time in their life or another. I grew up with 4 brothers. I can pretty much translate anything into guy speak. If you've ever played basketball, what do? You get down on your knees, you lean forward a little bit, your weight's forward in the balls of your feet, your tummy's tight, and now guard me if I go to the side. Well, that's a triple step. If you've ever played tennis and you're holding your racket and you're waiting for the person to give you, and you're changing weight from the front foot to the back foot, that's a rocking step. It's a weight change.
Okay.
So pretty much I can translate anything into guy speak, and my job is to make him feel so comfortable that by the end of the first lesson, they're looking at their wives going, this wasn't so bad. This was kind of cool, honey. Why didn't I do this a long time? The thing we hear most often is, this was really fun. I had no idea, and I wish I had done it years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And my couples that come, well, you can see if you go to Facebook, go to the Dancing Gardens Facebook, I just put up a video of 3 lovely young couples that decided to share the lesson. So we charge a flat fee for the lesson.
Okay.
So whether you're dancing with the teacher one-on-one or we're teaching you as a couple, the price doesn't change.
Okay.
Or if it's 2 couples sharing it, you divide the cost by 4.
So that would be a fun thing for a small group to do.
Yeah, it's also really good to do private. It's really the best way to learn because you're learning one-on-one. It's private.
And if you have an event coming up in your life, like your child or grandchild's getting married, it'd be a nice thing to treat yourself to, because then you would know how to dance.
Hey, you're probably spending a fortune on the ceremony. You'll enjoy it a heck of a lot more.
You'll be able to participate
dance
even more. That's fun. Okay, I may want to give that a try.
I think you're going to be good at it.
I don't know if I'm going to be good at it or not. So the last thing, and I should have circled back through this before, you've had so many highlights in your life, from Broadway to dance competitions and traveling internationally and all of these things. Is there any one particular thing that stands out? Was it being a rockette? Could you teach me to be a rockette?
No, there's quite a lot of training involved there. So it would take a while.
So, okay.
Everything,
so maybe not Radio City,
everything in its present moment is a highlight because you're present in what you're doing and you love what you're doing.
Where do you get that great spirit? Is that from your circle of saints that have passed on, from your mom or dad?
That's just the love from inside. You follow your love, you do what you enjoy, and you enjoy it fully. And you do it long enough and good enough. You know, if you find something you really love, go find a good teacher and take private lessons.
Good thought.
You do that for a few years, you're going to be great at anything.
Sure. Find something. That's good advice for the young, especially.
Find something that really makes you happy so that you're not looking at your watch thinking, oh, when is this going to be over?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's knocking on the door going, please come home. My husband would call me at the art gallery and go, dinner's ready, please come home.
Oh, because you're so...
Because I was still painting something because I was having fun and I'm lost in a shape or a color or a shadow.
That's a good thing. When I've heard that, how will you know if you are good at something or passionate at something?
When it's what you want to do.
When it's what you want to do. When you lose track of time.
Yeah.
That's when you're doing something that you're really good at and you're passionate about, is when you lose track of time. So that's good. That is fun. Where does this look like this goes? Your son's going to join you, which is wonderful.
Oh, I'm so thrilled he's doing this. And this is a new branch for him. We've actually, even though we only lived an hour away, my handsome, gorgeous son.
Yes.
We only lived an hour away from him in the Keys. But we couldn't live on the same little island because my husband and my son are both really strong personalities in their community. And my son said, this island isn't big enough for both of us, Dad.
Funny.
So we lived in Marathon and he lived down in Key West.
That's okay.
Now that he's a man in his own right and he's got his own careers and passions that he loves. So we'll see.
Well, you said he'll continue blacksmithing here.
Yes.
And he may even teach that as part of the art that you'll offer.
Yes.
Would that mean maybe part of your art?
And
that
we'll see
would
where
be
he goes.
Very interesting for people here to maybe want to learn. There are people here who might want to learn that skill. That's interesting. A lot of the fellas.
And he's such a good teacher. He's not only a competent artist, he's a kind human and a great teacher.
What do you think he might want to be involved with when he comes here? Will he do community theater, or will he
don't know.
Start a business? You said he's
he's going to be working at Two's Mortgage.
Two's Mortgage, does that exist now, or is it waiting for him to get going?
No, and it's down in South Florida. It's going to be new in the Georgia area.
Oh, okay, so it'll be new to Georgia.
They're expanding.
Okay, how do you spell that?
T-E-W-E-S.
T-E-W-E-S, Two's Mortgage. So we'll remember that. Will that be home loans, commercial loans, or all of the above?
Everything.
Okay, good.
Everything. He's going to be making life better, helping people get into homes.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
So he'll be around the Hartwell area, and we'll look forward to seeing him and seeing you and Theo out. It'll be a pleasure.
I know, we're going to have fun
together,
you
guys. I know. This could be the
start
start
to
of
meet your
something
kids.
dangerous.
I know, right?
Because this could be fun. So I can't wait to take your painting parties, and the dance thing I'm going to have to work into, because I really have to.
We are very kind and gentle teachers. And
so you won't say
no, and that's why you want to try it. The first lesson is free for everybody. Just be brave. Take a chance and learn to dance.
Okay.
Yeah, you have
Anybody want to get a group together and go do
dancing? You
dancing?
have to be bold and be brave, but
Okay.
try one on your own. Try one with the teacher holding you, guiding you,
Okay.
doing it in private so you feel the confidence and you realize, wow, I really can do this.
I have to get over a whole lot of self-consciousness to do that, but I'll work on that.
But to come in and try it on your own and have somebody gently show you and go, you're not expected to know anything that you haven't been shown.
Okay.
And when somebody shows you, this is how we walk in partner dancing. It's just like when you walk down the street and your heel hits the ground first. We do the same in partner dancing. When you're walking a foxtrot or a waltz, your heel hits the ground first.
Okay.
When you're going backwards, you flip your foot upside down and it's like a toe push backwards.
Okay.
And you get your foot out of the way, you wait for him to step, and you transfer weight. So when somebody shows you how to do that...
It sounds easy when you say it like that.
We teach very gently and very slowly so that you're comfortable and you realize, this is really cool. Nobody ever showed me that.
And you're getting the word out?
And he turns your wrist and you follow your wrist. And then you look for your man. You get back in front of the man. So when somebody shows you that way, it's so much fun and it's so easy. And then dance lessons are such a blast that you will leave always smiling and brighter and lighter than when you walked in.
That's great. There's so much
It is
to do.
great. And the first one's free. And all they have to do is call us and say when you'd like to come. And then I call Suzanne and say, is the studio open at this time?
Perfect. I can't wait to see what kind of a reaction you get in Hartwell. I'm sure it will go over really well.
It's already been. We love this place. We've met the most amazing, kind, and generous people.
What's the biggest surprise about Hartwell? What's your favorite thing so far?
How much time I want to spend on the water. I like the lake.
Good.
After being an ocean girl for 15 years.
Yeah.
The lake is so nice and
calming,
calm
isn't
and
it?
big. And I ride my bicycle everywhere. I'll be out on my bicycle, you know, and I'll end up at one of the boat launches, and then I just park the bike and go stick my feet in the water.
Isn't it great?
So yeah, that's one of my favorite things, is that I can just go. It's so well cared for by the edges of the lake, and all the boat ramps are so clean and gorgeous and open, and there's a dock, and
Right.
that I can get off of my bike and cool down from working so hard on the bike up and down these hills.
Yes.
Some of these hills have been challenging. Let me tell you, going down is a whole lot of fun, and you go down really, really, really fast. But a couple of times I've been known to get off the bicycle and walk it up the last part of the hill.
That's all right.
But then there's a boat dock at the end, and I can just sit for a few minutes and get the air in my face and my feet in the water, and then I get back on my bike and pedal home, and my husband has made some masterpiece for dinner.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Hartwell's full of amazing people, and you are one of them. So
Thank you.
we look forward to seeing you out and about.
I look forward to seeing you out and about.
We're going to get in trouble.
I know.
Thank you for joining us today. This was fun with Ganine Derleth, and we are going to participate with her and support her and Theo in their endeavors at dancinggardenslakehartwell.com. All right.
you.
I enjoyed it so much. Thank you, Ganine.
I enjoyed it so much. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it so much. And come
Wes?
in and find us.
Wes,
Called
thank you.
Dancing Gardens.
Definitely.
Oh, and Wes, thank you.
Thank you, Wes Bailey. Thank you, Hartcom and Randy. We love the studio here and we love being here. So thanks for watching, and thank you, Ganine.